And he'll tell you better about, what did they find after coming up and assessing, our health.
So yes, back in 1998, we had Vanderbilt University and Meharry University out of Tennessee. They came here and they did a study. They did a study with biomarkers to see exactly what was the benefit of us having this healthy lifestyle that we have been promoting.
Hello and welcome back to the page. I am your host, Ashriel Moore, the ambassador of the African Diaspora Collective right here in Israel. So they tried to tell us that the people who are referred to incorrectly in the U.S. as African Americans are predisposed to certain ailments, certain diseases. So there's nothing we can do about these things because this is just part of our genetic makeup. And unfortunately, these ailments are hereditary. So it makes sense to have a higher amount of people dying from cardiovascular diseases. It makes sense to have 30+% of our people dying from strokes. It makes sense that more than 50% of our people are obese. I mean, these are just things that are natural, they try and tell us. But I'm trying to understand, if these things are natural, then why are they not happening also in the other communities, right, with the other peoples in the U.S., but specifically and only people of African ancestry in the U.S., who they refer to incorrectly as African American. But then we found out that here in Israel, the African Hebrew Israelite community hosted a group of doctors and medical students in 1998 from Meharry University and from Vanderbilt University. And what they found was actually incredible. Let's listen to the video first of all, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. On Perfect Health, we want to be able to also provide that model for other people, because when you look at the world today, you see that sickness and diseases are running rampant. And one thing that we did, and I want him to speak about that, we had a group of doctors come up to Israel to visit the community and to assess the lifestyle and the health practices. Yeah, and he'll tell you better about, what did they find after coming up and assessing, our health.
So yes, back in 1998, we had Vanderbilt University and Meharry University out of Tennessee. They came here and they did a study. They did a study with biomarkers to see exactly what was the benefit of us having this healthy lifestyle that we have been promoting for years, for about 30 years, in fact. So they did the basic studies of checking your heart rate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when they did the parameters and checked everything, they based their understanding on that we came from a pool, the African American pool. We came from a pool that they said we were genetically predisposed to, like renal disease, kidney failure, heart disease, liver problems, et cetera, et cetera. These were like our genetic predispositions. They didn't connect it up to a lifestyle, the lifestyle that we were given. They didn't connect it up to the diet, the food, but they said that we were genetically predisposed to that. But when they came and did tests on us, they found that that was not true, that we had reversed those changes. And in fact, these were like some of the earliest studies on a people of epigenetics, where they found that because of our lifestyle, that we were taken out of that Western American standard diet, the lifestyle of stress, et cetera, that we had actually changed our genetic expression. And so we didn't have the chronic ailments that our people that we left in America had and was experiencing daily, that they still experience now. So we understood then that we were on the right path of putting ourselves in a protected spiritual environment, biological environment, where we can focus on our health. So when he mentions about perfect health, when we speak of perfect health, what we're talking about is living in a state of existence where you're seeing a perpetuation of a healthy expression of your life, and you don't experience these chronic diseases that we were once subjected to.
Can you give me one popular tip that you guys, the Hebrew Israelite, use daily or weekly? Can you give me one something that you...
He can give you more than one.
Right.
I would like to hear, definitely. But the popular one, give me the popular one.
Well, we have our high, holy, and sacred diet that includes 7 major supplements.
Okay.
That is part of the daily regimen. We're talking about kelp, we're talking about wheat germ, we're talking about fenugreek, we're talking about molasses, blackstrap molasses, we're talking about sesame seeds, we're talking about parsley. We're talking about these things that we take daily to help fortify our immune system.
Petroleum? Wow. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
So this is one example. These are our daily dietary supplements.
Women and men.
Right.
Children.
children. Yes, and it's even for our expecting mothers. They're on a particular diet, and when the children are of young age, very young, then we have the same dietary nutritional standards, but just at a dosage for them.
So why are these things so important? Because epigenetics says that your environment, your mental state, your food or health practices have a significant effect on your DNA markers. And so as a result of that, then that means that you can be able to change your environment, change your habits, and these things also in turn could be able to change your DNA. You can be able to reverse a lot of these things that they told us that we were predisposed to, and there's nothing we can do about those things. And the African Hebrew Israelite community in Dimona, Israel, have actually proven that to actually be true. Now, the environment that was created in Israel, in Dimona, is an environment that's built on fundamental principles like health, right? Like peace, like family, like unity, like justice. So all of these things, having an environment is built on these fundamental principles. Of course, they're going to have an effect on your mental state, which in turn will have an effect on your physical condition, right? But not only that, it's also important, internally inside of the community, we have various institutions that are under certain ministries. So this was the Minister of Health who was actually speaking about these things. And so the Ministry of Health, like he was talking about the regimens, the daily regimens, they actually put together programs for us throughout the year to ensure that we're in alignment with whatever is necessary for those seasons to ensure that our body is operating at maximum capacity. And so, like, for example, you have the seasons change, so it's important to strengthen the immune system in those seasons change. And he just mentioned a few things that could contribute to the strengthening of the immune system. But those were just, like he said, these were just one practice. This was just one practice. But in addition to what he had just mentioned, in terms of the food intake, it's important also to commit to at least 3 times a week to doing some type of physical activity that will cause you to sweat and to cause, obviously, your heart to beat faster and pump the blood throughout your body faster. It's also very important to, at least once a month, to get a deep tissue massage. So we also instituted salt days and no salt days, which in essence cuts down the intake of salt by 50% because we have days which we don't consume any salt whatsoever. We also have every quarter of the year, we have an entire week where we don't consume any foods that are cooked, so just raw foods. We also have an entire week where we don't consume anything that has sugar in it. So all of these things, obviously, in terms of the bodily health, they contribute to the healthy condition. But also, we're talking about the mental state as well. Having an environment where everybody's looking out for each other, where it's a family-oriented environment where you're not concerned about your children being outside to late hours of the night because you know that your next door neighbor has them. You're not afraid nobody's going to break into your home, so you can leave your home, you can leave your door unlocked. These type of things also contribute to the reduction of stress, right? Because we obviously know that stress also is a killer. And so all of these things, right, they've contributed to the reversing of that idea within the bodies of the members of the community that we are predisposed to certain ailments, to certain health conditions, and so that's something that we just have to make amends with, and there's nothing we can do to change that. And so why is this so very important? The reason why I'm sharing this is because I believe that the community in Israel, in Dimona, that had managed since 1968 to establish a community that's built on these fundamental principles, that has proven over and over and over again to be a great model community for our people outside of Israel, wherever they may be in the world, of how to align ourselves with a healthy lifestyle, with a healthy environment, with institutions that are health-giving or that are life-giving institutions, as opposed to institutions that continue to suck the blood out of our people. An environment of people who are actually looking to work together for the betterment of the whole, as opposed to exploiting one another. And so many people who were born in a community, in Dimona, we haven't even been exposed to certain things like drive-by shootouts and rapes and all of these things that, unfortunately, are part and parcel of this environment outside the community. And so I think that has contributed. As a matter of fact, I know that that's contributed a lot to the mental state of members of the community who was born inside of this type of environment. Now, the people who came from their previous environment to this new environment, obviously they probably carried along with them a lot of the baggage from the previous environment. But the people who were born inside the community, into this new environment, who have never been exposed to a lot of those things from the outside, obviously we have a great foundation that we're standing on. And this is something obviously that has contributed to much of the conditioning of the people who were born actually into the community and where they currently are mentally, physically, emotionally, and as such. Now I want to just read just a few statistics which are very worrying, right? Today in the US, 42.6% of non-Hispanic black adults are obese. 34.5% of non-Hispanic black adults suffer from some type of, or suffer from hypertension, high blood pressure diagnosis. 60% of black adults have some type of cardiovascular disease, heart disease. 50% of non-Hispanic black adults are more likely to ever catch a stroke compared with whites. These numbers are saying that there is a problem in the black community in America, that I could understand why people would say that these things are hereditary, because they're moving from generation to generation. These are generational curses that are being passed on from generation to generation. But it's nothing that we cannot reverse. It's nothing that this is not our destiny. This is not our fate. But it's just the environment that's causing us to continue to pass these things on from generation to generation, because the health practices are not changing, because the environment is not changing, because the stress still remains as is, because the food consumption is as terrible as it is. And so obviously these are the reasons why the conditions of our people is as they are. And so I just wanted to bring this example from the African Hebrew Israelite community here in Israel that I believe have presented an alternative to the lifestyles that have resulted in these type of statistics. And if we adopt, at least some of those practices, I believe we could be able to see some immediate change in the lifestyle, in the habits, in the health practices, and also in the condition of our people wherever they are in the U.S. So thank you so much for continuing to follow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you're feeling any of what we're saying here. And until then, you take care.